Getting everybody?
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then there's the guy behind the camera. All right. Well, hi everybody. Have you ever wondered what it might cost you to be alive? I mean, just to stay living, to breathe. I know what you're thinking. That's kind of a weird question to be asking. Well, I can tell you that for someone I love very much, it runs about $1,000 a month. Today I'd like to talk to you about the rising cost of insulin and its effects on diabetics with and without insurance, and what we can do to help cut the costs. I will be discussing first-hand accounts on how the rise of insulin has caused serious health risks, why the costs have been skyrocketing, and what steps we can do to help. And as you can see, I do have a pump and some supplies here to the left, so if you have questions later, please feel free to ask and we can go over some things. First, I'd like to tell you about 2 diabetics without insurance and what they have to do to make insulin supplies last. April, a single mom of 4 girls, she's deaf, no insurance. She has to choose between feeding her girls or buying more insulin. Because of the things she has to do, she ends up in the hospital 2 to 3 times a month in a diabetic coma. I've known this woman 20 years, and the poor girl. It's ridiculous. Another woman, married mom with 1 daughter she loves more than anything in this world. She was diagnosed with type 1 at 14 months old. She needs insulin so bad all day long that she has a pump that attaches to her skin, just like this. So the pump sits on the side, just sits like this, and she gets insulin all day long. She has to. She would let her blood sugars run high, very high, because she couldn't afford to pump insulin in. This is very dangerous. However, this is what some people have to do to literally survive. According to the American Diabetes Association, published online October 23, 2012, national data from the 2000 Behavioral Risk Factor and Surveillance System have shown that uninsured adults with diabetes are less likely to report annual eye exams, foot examinations, and hemoglobin, the A1C test, and less likely to perform daily blood glucose monitoring than that of those that have private health insurance. In 2009 Health Interview Survey, uninsured people with diabetes were 6 times more likely to forego needed health care than to those who have health insurance. 6 times. Do you guys know what diabetes is? I mean, do you really know what it is? Besides the fact that, it's the sugar disease. At least that's what I used to think it was. How about the difference between type 1 and type 2? No? Well, I'm going to teach you something today. Diabetes is a problem with your body that causes blood glucose sugar levels to rise higher than normal. This is also called hypoglycemia. Type 2 diabetes is the most common in grown adults. In type 1 diabetes, the body does not produce insulin. The body breaks down the carbohydrates you eat into blood glucose, which it uses for energy. Insulin is a hormone that the body needs to get glucose from the bloodstream into the cells of the body. With the help of the insulin therapy and other treatments, even young children can survive and have managed great, long, healthy lives if they learn to manage these conditions. If you have type 2 diabetes, your body does not use insulin properly. This is called insulin resistance. At first, your pancreas makes extra insulin to make up for it, but over time, it isn't able to keep up, make enough, and keep your blood glucose at normal levels. Okay, let's talk about the cost of having diabetes. According to the National Center of Biotechnology Information website and the U.S. National Library of Medicine, they say that the total cost of diagnosed diabetes in 2017 is $327 billion, including $237 billion in direct medical cost. $237 billion, and $90 billion in reduced productivity, missing work, being sick, too tired. People with diagnosed diabetes incur average medical expenditures of $16,000 more a year. That's amazing. People with diagnosed diabetes on average have medical expenditures approximately 2.3 times higher than the average person. That's insane. Well, how do we prevent this? What can we do to stop this? Well, regular medical care can prevent many common diabetic complications, including heart disease, stroke, retinopathy, nephropathy, and neuropathy. Even eye problems, hearing loss, skin infections, problem with your feet, which, if left untreated, can lead to amputations. Now, let's talk about why the cost of insulin has skyrocketed in the past 20 years. Why is it so expensive now? What the pharmaceutical companies want you to know, or what they want you to think they want you to know, and this is cited from the ABC News website article, Big Pharma Defends Rising Cost of Drugs. And it says, they blame heavy-handed regulations, the cost of research, and the biggest, they say, is having to file for new patents every year. We'll get into that in a minute. But right now, I'll give you the top 5 reasons what others believe to be the reason of the rising costs. Number 1, there's only 3 companies. They have the majority. That's a monopoly. There's no generics available because of the patents. They're always filing new patents so that they can keep that 20-year stretch going so they can maintain the formula. And my favorite, politics. They pay so much for lobbying. It's millions on lobbying. It's ridiculous. And, believe it or not, price fixing. Can you believe it? Price fixing? However, there are several lawsuits that are currently in the works as of today. Now, I tell you this information with the hope that you have learned something and now want to fix what is obviously broken. Again, I ask you, how much do you think it costs to stay alive every day? I told you about people I love and care about having to endure physical and mental barriers because of insurance. I told you about diabetics, the difference of the 2 types. I told you about the reasons for the skyrocketing costs between the manufacturers and their politics. Now I ask you for your help. Real help. I have written letters to our congressmen and women asking for their support to look into the business practices of the top 3 manufacturers and their patent changes that won't allow generics to be produced. I have these all ready to go. They just need your signatures. I also have pre-addressed, stamped envelopes ready to mail. I ask you to sign this and make a difference. At the beginning of this speech, I told you that there was someone I love and care about very much with diabetes. That person is my wife, Kirsten. Because I've been lucky enough to spend the past 20 years with her, I have learned so much about this disease and her. For that, I can't stress how much I love and appreciate everything she is for me. Now I'd like to end this with a quote. If you live to be 100, I hope to live to be 100 minus 1 day, so I never have to live without you. Winnie the Pooh. But thank you guys very much for listening.